UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Teixeira takes place in a couple of days, and today I'm going to do my full prediction breakdown for every fight on the card. Now, I am recording this on the 1st, and this event doesn't take place till the 12th, so there is a chance one of these fights fall out. If that's the case, my bad. Disregard. Just want to get this video done before it's, too late and I forget. Now, this card, low-key, kind of goes crazy, and tell me why it's better than UFC 318. Like, I'm just a boy in my room with Olivia Rodrigo vinyls behind him, and I am, realizing that Atiba Gaudier versus Robert Valentine isn't the greatest co-main event to a UFC 318, which is what they have right now. But Stephen Thompson versus Gabriel Bonfirm is on this card. Make it make sense. Anyways, I digress. Starting off the prelims, we have Fatima Klein versus Melissa Martinez. Now, I don't know a ton about either of these girls, but what I do know is that it's women's MMA, so it's kind of like a coin flip. That's what that was. Fatima Klein is like a minus 2,000 favorite or something last time I checked. Right now, she is currently sitting at minus 1,200. It's women's MMA. In my opinion, that alone just warrants putting $1 on Melissa Martinez and seeing what you can win. But I am going to go with Fatima Klein. I do think she is the better MMA fighter. Moving on. Mitch Ramirez versus Mike Davis. Actually kind of an interesting fight. Mike Davis's last time out, he did lose. It was to Fares Ziham, and he did not look super Mike Davis-like. He'd been out for a minute, but Fares Ziham, we do know, is actually a competent, good UFC fighter. What I'm saying is that his loss really isn't that bad. It could have been to a much worse opponent. Fares Ziham, I actually do think is good. Now, Mitch Ramirez is pretty decent. He last lost to Thiago Moises by leg kicks. He's beat Aaron Tavares, Jeremy Holloway, just not great names. He had a decent little run going before his loss to Carlos Prates, but it's Carlos Prates. Don't really freak out about that one. He doesn't have a ton of UFC experience. He came back right here after his win in the LFA. He lost to Thiago Moises and had a canceled fight, and now he's fighting Mike Davis. I think Mike Davis is the better fighter. He'll probably submit him in the second or third round would be my prediction. I do think Mike Davis is better than what he's shown so far, and we know the potential he has. His last showing wasn't great. He had been out for a minute. He lost to Fares Ziham. It happens. I'm picking Mike Davis. Then another kind of interesting matchup. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Walter Walker. Walter Walker's pulling off heel hooks against guys like Junior Taffa and Dontel Mays. How are we letting that happen? How are we letting that happen in the UFC? Whatever. Walter Walker has a 13-1 record. He looks terrifying. I would not want to fight him. But Kennedy Nzechukwu, he's on a little bit of a run at heavyweight. He's beating guys like Chris Barnett. I know, not great names, but he's looked way better at heavyweight than he did at light heavyweight. He has some good names at light heavyweight. He's fought guys like, I think he beat Carlos Oldberg early in his career. I know he lost to Owen St. Preux. Embarrassing. He wasn't doing great at light heavyweight, and honestly, his career was done for. He was cooked, but he moved to heavyweight, got a couple wins together. I think he has fought better competition, and I think he's just all around better than Walter Walker. Now, if Walter Walker rolls out there and gets a heel hook, I don't even know. I really don't. There's nothing I could even say to be funny right now, because that would just be crazy if he did that. I'm picking Kennedy Nzechukwu. I believe he's a slight favorite, and I kind of get why. I think the competition he's fought's better. He's better veteran. I think heavyweight's been the move for him. He's better on the feet. We'll see what happens if they get to the ground. Now, moving on. Lauren Murphy versus Eduarda Mora. I'm picking Eduarda Mora. She's 31 and Lauren Murphy is 41. She's also horrifying to look at. Jesus Christ. I think Eduarda Mora is just going to be better and get a decision win. Moving on. Jake Matthews versus Shide Njokuani. This is actually tough. I did not realize Shide is 36 years old. Jake Matthews, his last time out, he fought, who was it? Francisco Prado or something like that. And he looked good on the feet. That guy was taking a heck of a punch. Jake Matthews, pretty good striker. I like watching him fight. Shide Njokuani, I know he's also quite good and people rate him quite highly. He's the favorite going into this as I'm looking at the odds right now. I cannot shake the image of Jake Matthews getting this one done by a 29-28 decision, though. I'm leaning Jake Matthews. I think he's going to be able to do enough on the feet to get the decision. I don't think Shide Njokuani is a next level ahead of him, I'm going Jake Matthews. I think the names on Shide's resume that he's lost to are similar to guys like Jake Matthews. So I'm going to pick Jake Matthews. He is the shorter fighter, but I think he's going to be able to do a lot. His reach is quite short compared to Shide, but we'll see. Jake can get in there, land some combos. I'm picking Jake Matthews. Might be stupid, but I'm going with it. Max Griffin versus Chris Curtis. Jesus, Chris Curtis is 37 years old, and he acts the way he acts. Okay. Did not know that. Max Griffin's a terrible UFC fighter. He's not very good. He lost to Michael Chiesa recently. Chris Curtis is going to win this fight. He better. I would say 30-27 decision probably. Maybe he'll KO him. KO TKO within rounds 1 or 2. But I'm thinking a 30-27 decision, like minimum. You better win this fight, Chris Curtis. He's back. He's always pretty entertaining. He is a bit of a crybaby. If he loses to Max Griffin, he needs to call it a career. Moving on to the main card, we have Junior Tafa versus Tuco More Tacos. Tuco Tacos. That's okay. Junior Tafa is a light heavyweight now. He's not good. Neither of these guys are good. 6-3 versus 10-5, and they're just both not very talented at the sport. Junior Tafa is probably going to win this, though. I think he should. He's younger. He's going to be quicker. He's coming down from heavyweight. I know he's had a light heavyweight fight already, I believe. I do think Junior Tafa is just a little bit better. He's probably going to KO Tuco Tacos within the first 2 rounds, and then Tuco's going to be out of the UFC. I just think Junior Tafa is a little bit better. Then we have another light heavyweight going up to heavyweight. Vitor Petrino versus... That's Austin Lane. Why does it say Dejuan Lane? Austin Lane is not a good fighter. Vitor Petrino is also not great. He threw himself in a guillotine against Anthony Smith in the big year. I believe that happened last year in 2024. What is we doing, baby? It might have even been this year. I'm not even sure. That's when Anthony Smith had his quote of like, there's levels to this. There's levels to this. On paper, I'm a level ahead of these guys on paper, you know? But I do think Vitor Petrino is better than Austin Lane. Austin Lane is not good. He gets knocked out pretty easily. I think Vitor Petrino hits hard enough where he's going to be able to catch Austin Lane and put him out cold. And then Austin Lane won't have a career in the UFC either. So we have 2 guys on the main card whose careers are just going to be done after this. So that's good. Banger alert. If you know, you know. Nate the Train Landwehr taking on Morgan Charrier. Both of these guys are sick. I am a big Nate Landwehr fan. I love my boy Nate Landwehr. He's always in wars. He's always entertaining. Last time out, he got absolutely demolished by Doo Ho Choi. Just was no chance for him on the ground or on the feet. Doo Ho Choi styled on him. He's taking on Morgan Charrier, who is actually quite good. He lost to Nathaniel Wood in his last fight by decision, but he's beaten guys like Gabriel Miranda, and he lost to Chepe Mariscal as well. He honestly isn't as good as I thought he was. But he's entertaining. He's good. I do think he is better than Nate Landwehr, even though I love Nate Landwehr. It's going to be a war. Nate Landwehr has to make this a war. He cannot get caught up in any type of grappling. He just needs to keep it swinging. But I do think Morgan Charrier is better on the feet as well. I think he's just a cleaner fighter. I'm leaning Morgan Charrier. Probably a decision. I don't see Nate getting put out in this one. It's going to be a war. It's always fun. Nate the Train in the UFC. Of course, I'm rooting for Nate Landwehr, but I do like some Morgan Charrier, so I'll be okay if he wins. Then moving up. Oh, man. I'm not falling into the curse again. Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. Last time Calvin Kattar fought, he fought Yusuf Zalal, and I picked Kattar because I was like, he's a crafty veteran. He's going to be able to get it done. He's going to box the bleeding head off of him. And he looked pretty bad. Now, Steve Garcia is going to go in there and actually try to strike because he's not a coward. Yusuf Zalal. That being said, I just think Steve Garcia at this point in his career is better. He'll probably get a decision win over Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar's still a good boxer. He's just not what he was, and I don't think he was ever amazing, but he's definitely not what he used to be. So I'm leaning Steve Garcia. I think Calvin Kattar's kind of done being at the top of featherweight or being even a ranked featherweight. He's going to be kind of a gatekeeper in that top 15 area. So I'm picking Steve Garcia. Probably a decision win. I think it'll be a decent fight. Calvin Kattar always comes to bring it, but I just don't think he's going to be able to have enough for Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia is kind of a menace out there. So picking Steve Garcia. Okay, now I know I just said what I said about Calvin Kattar, the crafty vet, not going to do it. Why do I want to pick Stephen Thompson? So if we look at Gabriel Bonfirm's last couple of fights, he beat Chaos Williams very easily with a Darce choke in the second round. Put him out cold, I remember that. Did good on the feet as well. He also beat Ange Lusa by decision. He lost to Nicholas Dalby. I'm picking Stephen Thompson. I know. Right now I'm looking at it. Gabriel Bonfirm's a minus 425 favorite. I'm sure the odds will die down a little bit. I'm picking Stephen Thompson. He's 42. He does great on the feet. We saw him school Wonder Boy. We saw him debatably beating Joaquin Buckley before getting just blitzed, and Buckley, showed off what he got. I think that fight was like 1-1, maybe 2-1 Wonder Boy. I forget. But it was a close fight regardless against Joaquin Buckley. Gabriel Bonfirm, I know he's good. He'll probably win this fight. I'm picking Stephen Thompson to win a decision. I am. I think he's going to be able to outpoint him. His takedown defense is pretty good, and I don't think Gabriel Bonfirm's going to be able to get him down. Did I sound like Eminem right now? I felt like I talked really fast. Okay, I'm picking Stephen Thompson. Masterclass. Wonderboy Masterclass. I'm calling it. And then in the main event, Derek Lewis versus Taliesin Teixeira. When I saw Taliesin Teixeira on the Contender Series, I thought to myself, wow. I actually feel like this guy's going to go places for some reason. And then he fought Justin Toffa in his debut and beat him in like 5 seconds. Literally like one punch, it was done. He was just up against the cage. I forget the exact sequence, but I know he KO'd him against the fence. Derek Lewis hits very hard. But, oh God. I could so easily see him winning this. We haven't seen Taliesin Teixeira do like anything. Okay? I know. He's had one fight in the UFC and he won in like 7 seconds. That doesn't tell us anything. Doesn't tell us how he reacts to getting punched. Doesn't tell us if he can go past 2 minutes in a fight. Which is something I can relate to, not going past 2 minutes. So I think I'm picking Taliesin Teixeira. I just believe in him. I think he's going to be good. I think in a couple years, we might see like Tom Aspinall versus Taliesin Teixeira. Okay? I think Taliesin Teixeira is very dangerous. And he's not having to deal with a grappler. Derek Lewis is not going to do that. I think that's when we'll see if Taliesin Teixeira is cooked or not. He wins this fight and gets like a Curtis Blade matchup. We'll see how he does. I think Taliesin Teixeira is going to be able to beat Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is 40. He might retire after this if he loses. But if he gets hit on the chin, it could be done. But he's taller. He's got a better reach. He's way younger. See, it might be too much too soon. I don't know, man. I'm picking Taliesin Teixeira. That's going to be it for me. If you're new around here, please subscribe. Hit that like button. Comment. Let me know what your picks are for this weekend's fights because I am very interested. This card's actually pretty fun. And after that, we have UFC 318, which I will cover, even though this card looks absolutely terrible. Jesus Christ. It's not a pay-per-view card. But my boy Vinicius Oliveira is on that card, so I'm excited for that. If you're new around here, though, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. But a KMMA, I'm out of here. Peace.